Hit it.
Welcome to Season 2 of Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and false hope collide nightly, like a Masataka Yoshida ground out to second. We break down every loss, every meltdown, and the occasional win, with sarcasm, facts, and no front office spin. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com, or keep wondering how a wildcard team spent an entire offseason avoiding power hitters. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, I got to be honest, hosting this show right now feels like being the CEO of a company that sells umbrellas in the desert, just standing there, smiling, pretending there's demand. Meanwhile, the Yankees are out there printing money, and I'm over here running a clearance sale on optimism. I look like the guy who bought stock in Red Sox offense back in March, and is now living in a studio apartment with a folding chair and regret. Joining me tonight is Nick Face, who reacts to Red Sox games like a guy who just bet his mortgage on every single pitch. One strikeout and he's flipping tables, tweeting like he's filing a lawsuit against Fenway Park. Also joining us tonight, as well, is John Martinello, our analytics guy. John watches a 2-for-14 night with runners in scoring position and goes, well, actually, the expected slugging percentage suggests we're trending upward. Yeah, John, and my expected happiness suggested I shouldn't be watching this team this year, but here we are. All right, let's get into it. So this 3-game series set with St. Louis was basically the Red Sox in a nutshell. You get 2 games where they look like a competent baseball team, and then 1 game where you question if they've ever seen a bat before. Game 1, nothing but brutal. Absolute offensive blackout. Couldn't hit, couldn't execute, couldn't do anything. It was like watching a team try to solve a Rubik's Cube with oven mitts on. They lose 3-2, strand runners, and just casually waste opportunities like they've got a surplus. Game 2, same story early. Sleepwalking offense, double plays, nothing happening. Then suddenly the 9th inning hits and boom, they wake up like someone flipped a switch. 7 runs out of nowhere. Like, where's that been for the first 8 innings? And then today, game 3, the finale, they actually showed up like a real baseball team. Jarren Duran clears the bases, the lineup produces, and they win 9-3. So what are we left with? A team that can score 7 runs in an inning, but needs a written invitation to do it? A lineup that looks dangerous, but only occasionally remembers that's part of the job? And a series where you take 2 out of 3 and somehow still don't trust a single thing you just watched. This is the most confusing team in baseball. They're not good enough to believe in, but they're not bad enough to fully quit on. They just hover in this annoying middle ground where you keep watching and keep getting annoyed. And the biggest takeaway? Consistency, or lack of it. One night they're explosive. The next night they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. That's your Boston Red Sox right now. This team feels like it could rattle off 10 wins in a row, and it also feels like it rattle off 10 losses in a row. I've said enough. It's time for the word of the day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day!
Fools, as in I am not being fooled in April. This is the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that is in a full-on rebuild, who casted off players like Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado. They're all gone. This team is in full rebuild mode, and the Red Sox should have swept the St. Louis Cardinals. Could have on Friday night, but Alex Cora was the star of the show on that night with the early yanking of Conley early. And then the Bats finally decided to wake up Saturday night late into the game, into I think, was it the 9th inning when we erupted? and finally showed some life. Today, you had a pretty nice start by Brian Bayo. I'm saying pretty nice because, again, I'm looking at this team as a team that you should annihilate. You just should. You were able to do that Saturday and for Sunday. Today was a much improved start for Bayo. Yesterday was a much improved start from Ranger Suarez. And we're left with having that confidence that we talked about before the season started in feeling like the pitching staff was going to be okay. At least you're starting pitching. The starting pitching was perfect these last 3 games. No issues whatsoever from me on anything other than, again, Alex Cora babying Conley early on Friday night. The relief, that's going to be our heart attack. It just is. Getting the ball to Chapman or getting it to Whitlock. I know Whitlock had a blemish last night. It's going to be a challenge. Again, it's not going to be the same Chapman like we saw last season. Heck, it's probably not going to be the same Garrett Whitlock that we saw last season either. So get used to it. The bats have got to do something, and at least we can fly off to Minnesota knowing that the bats had life Saturday and for Sunday. The things that stood out here for me, I really liked what I saw from Wilson Contreras this series. That was a big step up to the plate kind of series that we needed to see. I think going back to St. Louis was big for him on going back to familiar territory and showing fans what they traded. This was what we were hoping for Wilson Contreras when he was traded here. So as advertised, that's what he showed. That's what he proved to me this series. For the other guys, today's big game was for Trevor Story. Does that mean he's out of his funk? Absolutely not. So back to my word of the day. Fools. I'm not being fooled by Trevor Story. I'm not even being fooled by Jarren Duran's 3-run double today. I'm not. Because on a better jump on the ball, that is caught. Let's make sure we emphasize that. It would have been. But I'll take it. These are not things that I want to scream and yell about. These are positive steps into the right place that this team needs to go. Overall, a success this weekend. But am I going to be fooled by saying this team is good? This team is ready to go? Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. I've been fooled time and time again. It's not happening. This team is who they are. They're about a 500 team. They're coming back to earth here. They're winning some games. And the rest of Major League Baseball, it's a crapshoot because nobody's playing great baseball right now. Nobody. I mean, we're tied with the Blue Jays for worst record now at 6-9. Tomorrow, when we play the Twins, we could be in third place by being 7-9. It's crazy. So, baby steps into the right direction. We now need to take care of business with the Twins with our 3-game set. And you better believe it. They better damn well sweep them. Or I'm not going to be a happy camper.
You know, it goes without saying all the time that you got to win the games that you need to win, you know, and when you have a team that isn't as good as you can't give up extra outs and you can't lose these types of games. I've said it a million times. If I've said it once, you can't win a championship in April, but you could lose one. And you hit the nail on the head, Nick, with, you know, the rest of the league really doing poorly. And that was a big topic of conversation last year, that the American League East and American League was wide open net for the Red Sox to capitalize. And they didn't do it, you know, and they didn't make the moves necessary in the offseason to do it as well. And, you know, I had some people comment today, you know, oh, Jim, what do you think now? How do you like me now? And it's like, okay, sure. They've won 2 series in a row. I mean, I should expect that. This shouldn't be like, oh, wow, how wonderful. It's like, you know, this should be what you get day in and day out. The Houston Astros swept you. They're in the cellar in the American League Central. I mean, it's ridiculous. This team has more money than 25 other organizations. They should never be in last place, ever. And they should always compete for championships. I don't take solstice in winning 2 series in a row. I'm not going to complain. I'm glad that they won, but it should be expected. I don't play for that. I play for championships. I don't play for mediocrity. So we'll see how it goes. Before we go to John, I do want to introduce a new little feature that we have here on the show. It's going to be a poll question, so anybody that's on, you can go ahead and answer this question, and we'll take a poll to see what those results were. But here's the question: should Wilson Contreras bat in the second hole? He's been pretty much one of your better hitters, and we'll talk about him later today in our talking points. But go ahead and answer what you think, and we'll go from there. But moving right along, we'll go to the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
So last show, Nick got upset with me because I guess I went a little bit over my minute time frame. He called it the Martinello hour, so I'll shorten it up a little bit tonight for you, Nick. Starting in game 1, you're facing Dustin May, who you gave up a good prospect for, who's now, I'm not even going to mention him, but now tearing the cover off the ball out in Los Angeles. But you face Dustin May, and what has he done this year? He's throwing the ball down the middle. And when you get a guy who's throwing the ball down the middle, you should probably swing at the pitches down the middle. The Red Sox did the exact opposite. So, you get, 6 innings, 4 hits, and 1 run, or 1 earned, 2 runs off of Dustin May. And I tweeted it after the game. It was circulating pretty much everywhere. The comments from our great hitting coach, Peter Fazzi. He said that Dustin May was tilting the ball well, and he was executing pitches. He threw down the middle the entire night. For 6 innings straight, he threw the ball down the middle, and the Red Sox did absolutely nothing with it. They were chasing pitches high, chasing pitches low, looking at the balls down the middle, and when that happens, you're gonna get you're gonna get a stick up your ass. So Dustin May, he did his thing. He pitched great, and I guess, and the Red Sox lose game 1. Connerly early actually had a pretty good outing. Obviously not as long as any of us want him to go. Only 4 1/3. But he, 5 hits, 2 walks, struck out 5. And then Zach Kelly comes in the game afterwards, blows the lead. Red Sox lose game 1. Game 2, Ranger Suarez. I think all of us were very concerned after his first inning. I think it was about 30 pitches. And after that, he just turned into the Ranger Suarez that we paid this offseason. After that, he retired. After the first inning, he retired 14 out of 15 batters. And I have it somewhere in here. I think his average exit velocity against him was in the low 80s. So Ranger Suarez finally, after that long spring training of his, has the outing that we expect to see out of him. And, it was still a close game down the stretch here. We go into the 9th inning in a 2-1 ball game. And then the Red Sox offense finally, they start swinging at strikes. They start swinging at good pitches that they could handle, shooting the ball all over the place, a bunch of hits in the 9th. And the Red Sox come out with the 7-1 win. And then today, Nesson, again, what the hell are we doing? We don't have the cameras working. Only one camera was working in the first quarter, or in the first inning. And we missed
They thought it was a football game. That was the problem.
Yeah, we got the sideline view of, I'd honestly say, basketball. They had the courtside camera going. But so we missed the Wilson Contreras homer, but we got the view of it from the Cardinals side of things. And after that, Nesson decided to just switch over to the Cardinals broadcast. But Wilson Contreras, 4-hit game. Trevor Story, 4-hit game. There's a great view of what we saw from the Nesson side of things today.
They should lose their license. They really should.
Yeah, I wish I knew who the owner was of Nesson so I could have a talk with him.
Yeah. Good luck.
But yeah, no. So Wilson and Trevor Story, great games, 4 hits apiece. Trevor Story hitting the ball all over the place, which is good to see. Duran finally got a hit. But Brian Bayo, 6+ innings. I think he had 10 ground ball outs in this game, and on the season, 60% ground ball rate, which is third among 134 qualified pitchers. So Red Sox win 9-3. They win another series, and now we go to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? It was pretty much what you would hope for the series, winning 2 out of 3. I think Nick's right. I think you should have won, the first game too. What's that stat now? If the Red Sox starters go 5 innings plus, they're what, 7-0 now? 6-0?
Yeah, so yeah, when the Red
6-0.
Sox when the starting pitchers go 6+ innings, they have won every single one of those games. And when they fail to reach the 6th inning, they are 0-9.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see if we could look back at some of those games. Is it the fact that the starter went out early because of giving up too many runs, or was the game tied, or were they actually leading in those games? So was it really a bullpen meltdown? Be interesting to kind of
Well,
take
2
a
of
little
them
bit-
are Greg Weissert's losses. So you
Right.
can chalk those up to 2 bullpen losses right there.
Right.
Yeah, and then 2 of them are Zach Kelly.
Zach
Yep.
Kelly did that too. What about Chapman? Did he get the loss in that one game, or was it a blown save?
I think he did.
I think
No, it
that
had to
did
be
go as a loss.
I don't know if
Yeah, it
anybody
had
could
to be
look that.
yeah, because it was a tie game in the 9th.
If anybody has the answer to that question that's watching, put it in the comments below so we can discuss it, before the end of the night.
Yeah,
So,
Betty said it
what's
was
that?
blown. Betty said it was blown.
It was blown. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I agree. It was.
So tonight's word of the day is brought to you by the Red Sox Bullpen Trust Fall Experience, where every night you close your eyes, fall backwards, and just hope someone's there. Spoiler alert, nobody is. Perfect for Red Sox Twitter fans who start the game confident and then manage to find silver linings out of the losses. And finally, the Martinello Minute is brought to you by Breslow's Predictive Analytics Lab, telling you that the Red Sox should have won this series by 2.7 games based on expected outcomes, simulated run environments, and vibes, even though you watch them forget how to hit for 18 straight innings. Want to kind of go over some talking points. We already talked a little bit about Wilson Contreras, and he wasn't just solid. He was really the only consistent threat across all 3 games. So game 1, there was the 2-run homer to get the offense going early. He had a 2-run double in game 2 when the lineup couldn't really generate anything early. And then I think a 4-hit game today. A lot of RBI production and on base constantly during these big innings. He showed power, situational hitting, and control at the plate. Basically everything that the rest of the lineup only does in short bursts. Meanwhile, everyone else is pretty much unreliable from at-bat to at-bat. So my question to you guys is Contreras quickly becoming the one steady bat in the lineup that this team desperately needs? Nick, I'll start with you.
Bowser came to life.
Yep.
In case you don't know that reference, Bowser is one of the Super Mario brothers. And that's what I think a lot of these players are in this team. You got Yoshida, that's Yoshi. Trying to figure out who Mario and Luigi are. Anybody got any good takeaways from that? Not sure. I feel like I'm playing Super Mario Brothers sometimes when I'm watching these clowns. I think we have a bunch of who's the little girl, the Princess P or Bo Peep or something like that. Whatever.
IKF.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's him. That's what this team is. They're a bunch of Super Mario Brothers. But the problem is you keep losing level 1. You can't do that. You have to get to that next step. So plug your little remote control, your little Nintendo in, and let's get going here. But that's how it felt with Wilson Contreras, at least right here. It felt like he was locked in. I saw focus, especially in this past week. If you want to think about it with Contreras, the fight even though he made kind of a scene with the whole thing with his brother with the Brewers and everything, I think that lit a fire under his ass. And I think that jump started some life into this team. I really do. I think as a catalyst, other players followed pursuit from that. We could even say, too, that Trevor Story is a part of this equation here as well. Getting dumped down lower into the lineup, fifth or sixth, I think is exactly where Trevor Story should be on this team. If he's higher than that, it's going to be Whiff City, USA. And I don't want to see that there. I like where Contreras is right there in the lineup. I know we have a poll question going right now on if you like him in the 2 spot. I actually don't like him in the 2 spot, actually. I think he should be 3, I'd say, is cool. But then again, I don't want Roman Anthony leading off. I'm sure we're going to talk about him at some point. We got to get Roman Anthony out of that leadoff spot. And we got to get Jarren Duran out of the 3 spot. So I may tinker, and I know I hate this because here it comes, another lineup that's going to change everything. I like Wilson Contreras probably 3. I like Wilyer Abreu 4, probably Story 5. The question here is redundancy in maybe a Roman Anthony and Duran. I think I got to put Duran back to leadoff. Do I drop Roman down to the 6 spot or the 5 spot? It might not be such a bad idea, guys. And then kind of figure out what you want to do with the little length. Take some pressure off Roman and get him going. And I think that would help. But if Wilson Contreras continues to kind of be that catalyst, I think we're in a good spot. Really happy with his production this week.
Well, I think, my opinion is, with the way that Contreras hit over the last 4 or 5 games, I wouldn't mind seeing him bat second. Okay. I would probably tinker with a lineup where you lead off with Jarren Duran, Contreras would bat second. So that gives you a lefty righty right there. He's a good bat handler. He's going to see pitches. I think we talked about this in the offseason when the Red Sox acquired Durbin. We thought that he would be a guy that would make a lot of contact, not strike out a lot. And he could probably be a prototypical number 2 hitter for those reasons. The fact that he's really just not clicking yet on all cylinders, even though Cora's tried him there, which, I think maybe long-term it could be a possibility. I'd like to see Contreras there. And then for the 3rd spot, I don't know. You kind of want to go Anthony, but at the same time, to Nick's point, with the way that he's, kind of slumping right now, maybe that's a little bit too much on him. And of course, leading off, you're getting more at-bats than anybody else. Yeah, you want him in the lineup, but, maybe that pressure is a little too high. Maybe he could benefit from being dropped down for a short stretch. Maybe Yoshida is your number 3 hitter. I don't know. Just to balance that left-right lefty. But if not, you could certainly think of Duran, Contreras, Anthony. Then maybe you do Abreu and Story. I know you'd have 2 lefties in a row, but Cora batted Anthony and Yoshida back-to-back too, I think earlier in the series. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I know Cora likes his left and righty back and forth type lineup, but
it's kind of impossible to do it because you have such a redundancy.
There's too much lefties, but
it's too much.
But I wouldn't mind seeing Contreras in that 2 hole. At least give me a game or 2 with it, and let's see how it rolls. John, just, again, same question to you. Do you think that Wilson is becoming a steady bat in the lineup that this team desperately needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm, this series he was obviously great, but going back to the Milwaukee series, he went into that with a 161 batting average. He's sitting at 302 now. He's hit a couple homers. His slugging percent has gone up from 258 going into the Milwaukee series. It's up to 509 now. This guy's on an absolute tear. And going to your point about moving him around in the lineup, I do agree that I want to see him if Roman's going to continue to be the leadoff hitter. I'd like to see Wilson in the 2 spot, but if the guy's hitting how he is right now, keep him where he is. And that's kind of a point or a thought that I have is if guys are red hot, keep them exactly where they are. I don't want to see, if Wilyer Abreu's, smacking the baseball every single at bat in the 6 hole, keep him there. I don't need to see him move all the way up to the 3 spot because, moving around in the lineup sometimes messes with guys. And so, when they're hot, they're hot. And to that same point, with Durbin moving up to the 2 hole, I think that's Cora, trying to ignite him a little bit, get him out from the bottom of the lineup. And maybe it gets him more engaged, moving him up. But, Wilson Contreras is stars beyond what I thought that he'd bring to this team, especially this early in the year, because he's a guy that typically doesn't start the season, red hot out of the gates. So very happy with what I've seen with him, and there's no reason to think that it's just going to fall off a cliff anytime soon.
Well, the one thing you brought up, the fact that he's usually a slow starter, but also too, I think most catchers tend to be. This was last year. Was he a full-time first baseman last year, or did he get moved during the season? Okay,
Full-time.
so
they caught him a couple times, but it was the
Okay.
idea of last year with him was he's now the first baseman with Ivan Herrera, and then he got hurt in the beginning of the year, and
Right.
Mike
Wilson caught a couple.
Napoli'd him.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line here is that it was his first, let's call it the first season. He probably doesn't know how well he's going to take off. He was probably too concerned with wanting to be good as a defensive first baseman, and that could have played a role in his offensive ability. So, I mean, this year might be that one year where everything clicks for him because he knows his role. He's, a middle of the order bat. He's, got that first base job. It's his. And I'll tell you what, he's looked great there. It was funny because even Will Middlebrooks and Dave O'Brien on the broadcast today, they kind of jabbed Casas because Middlebrooks had said it's really nice to see the Red Sox haven't had really a stable first baseman since Mitch Moreland, and he's right. And of course, O'Brien said the same thing, but then he had to Nesson himself out by saying that, oh, well, Tristan Casas was supposed to be that guy, but he's been riddled with injuries. Well, that's the point. And, quite honestly, when Casas was there as a defensive player, I wasn't impressed. I mean, for his height and his size, he really didn't seem like he could move well. And I think we take a lot of what Contreras has done up to this point this season for granted. There's been a lot of hot shots that he's been able to snag very easily that, when you see and live through Dustin Pedroia's years and Moreland and Bogarts and just everybody that has been on any team for many years, Jackie Bradley Jr., even though we kind of shook our heads with his offense, the stability there, you just can't quantify how many hits Contreras could have saved already on the season just by being stable. He had a great stretch on a throw today. We take all that for granted when you have a really good defender at a position. So I've been impressed. I've been definitely watching that because this has been a funk for so long. The Red Sox have not had a first baseman play more than 100 games at first base since 2011. Adrian Gonzalez. That's 15 years ago. Nobody has played over 100 games. It's absolutely astonishing. And don't get me started with second base either. Since I think it was 2013, only Nunez has actually been back-to-back second baseman. It's bizarre how that could be like that. Moving on to the next talking point, just talking about the starting pitching a little bit. The starting pitching set the tone all series. This might be the most overlooked part of the series. They don't win 2 out of 3 without the starters doing their job. They kept the Cardinals to 3-1-3 with the runs across the 3 games, consistently working out of trouble and avoiding a big inning, even though Suarez's start looked a little shaky, right in the beginning. Even when there was traffic, they limited the damage. They gave the offense time to wake up and didn't let the game spiral. My question is this rotation quietly becoming a strength of this team? John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole talk of the offseason from Craig Breslow was this team's going to rely on pitching and defense. And we've seen the defense from Wilson Contreras. We're starting to see it again from Cedon Rafaela. We've seen it from Durbin. He's been awesome out there. Will Abreu's, everybody outside of Story in this series was actually solid defensively outside of I think one play in the first game. But pitching and defense is what we were sold on as to what the strengths of this team are going to be, and we finally saw it. This third time through the rotation, 29 and 2/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, and they won 4 out of those 5 games. That's what this team's going to be. If the starting pitchers are on their A game, Red Sox are going to win a lot of games. And we saw their first 2 times through the rotation, didn't see a lot of A game games. And what happened? The Red Sox lost 8 out of their first 10. So as long as the starting pitching, and they don't have to be this good, but if they're pitching to what their expectations are, Red Sox are going to win a lot of games.
Nick, same question to you. Is the rotation quietly becoming a strength here?
It's being solidified. I'll tell you that. I think we've seen one step through the rotation, one trip, and it's hit or miss for some of the guys. You could chalk it up to maybe just not being ready from spring training, WBC. You could do that. But I do think that if this team is going anywhere, it is from your starting rotation. And I just wrote down the rotation because right now it's Crochet, Gray, Early as your number 3, Suarez as your 4, and Bayo as your 5. If you can dial the tape back up to before the season started on that Wednesday night that we did our pod, and we talked about where these guys slot in on the rotation. Direct quote from me is if Suarez and Bayo are your 4 and 5 in a rotation, oh, that's sneaky good. That's depth. That's very good. And I think Gray can handle that pressure, like I've said, being here in a major league setting. There was no business for him to be getting pulled on Friday night with where he was at. He competed. He battled. He was trying. At the beginning of the game, there was a lot of pitches. I think he was up to about 28, 30 pitches in the first inning. He was battling out there. Organizationally and Cora, they're always monitoring innings, and they're always monitoring how many pitches get thrown. Let the damn kid throw. Let him throw. Let him work out of jams. That's the only way you are going to get better in baseball, is to toughen up and to keep him out there. It pissed me off so bad on Friday when he took the ball out of his hands for Zach Kelly. And then we get people chiming in on X and Twitter. Oh, well, Zach Kelly's got good stuff. F that. F that.
Josh
That is
Winkowski had good stuff
nonsense.
too.
I am so sick of it. Get Zach Kelly on an airplane and fly him off to Planet Zippy. Get him out of my life. And that is who you put in place of Conley Early. I'm still heated from Friday night. It should have been a sweep. It should have been. But your little nerds in Cora have to mix their stew together and ruin it. Because that had no business happening Friday night, and yet it did. But back to my point in general. I'm that steamed because I like this rotation. And think about it. You still have other pieces that you could sprinkle in here. Imagine what Peyton Tolley could add into this. If Cutter Crawford gets himself ready down in Worcesterville, I know he got his you-know-what handed to him a little bit yesterday, but he got on the mound for the first time since 2024. That's good. That's depth that we need. Even Pop Your Belt Sandoval is throwing down in Worcester. It's another arm. It's another arm that we could add here to the arsenal. So this is the only reason and only way, if you think this is a playoff team, if they get to this point, it's because of these starting pitchers. And the key to this is the health, of course. Keep them healthy.
Yeah, so I'm a big guy with quality starts. Quality starts are defined as a pitcher that pitches 6 innings and allows three earned runs or less. So far you're looking at Bayo had a quality start today. Garrett Crochet has had two. Connolly Early hasn't had any. Sonny Gray has had two, and Ranger Suarez has had one. So that's six total on the season. And of course, we mentioned it earlier, six victories for the team. So I think that is going to be the strength of this team is the ability for them to keep the lineup in games for the vast majority of the season. Yeah, you're going to have the 9-2 stinkers. I think that Bayo had earlier this year or whatnot. But I think for generally the vast majority of the games, this rotation, as long as they stay healthy, is going to keep the offense in the game. They're going to keep the team in the game. They're not going to let it go and unravel. And that's going to be great because I still think that the bullpen, even though we'll talk about it later, is a little bit of a question mark in some regards. I still like Whitlock and Chapman at the end. I still am a Slayton guy. I love a guy that can kind of shut you down in the seventh. And they've only had one or two opportunities that they've had, a Slayton, Whitlock, Chapman, 7, 8, and 9. And, if you're getting a quality start for 6 innings and then you come in with those three guys at the end, your opponent doesn't have a chance. So that would be great to consistently see. And, remains to be seen moving forward. Moving along to Trevor Story. Seems like there's always a story with Story, but quietly had a pretty good series. No one's talking about it, but he was everywhere. Multiple hits in game 3, including a 2-run double late. Constant pressure on the bases and making things happen when the lineup needed a push. Not flashy, not headline grabbing, but productive. The kind of performance this lineup desperately needs more of. Nick, I'll start with you. Is Story finally settling in now, and becoming somebody we can kind of rely on now that he's been dropped in the order? You think it has benefited him? 60 seconds.
You are kidding me with this segment right now, right? You are kidding me, right? Did you get him an edible arrangement after the game, Jim?
Yep.
You did. You did.
I got him. You
got him a nice fruit basket that he can enjoy. I'm so glad you did that. I'm sure.
I got him.
That's the feel good moment of the week.
I got him a gift card to Empower of Woburn.
Oh, good. I can take an extra $100 from him. Outstanding for all the shit he's driven us through in our lives. Excellent. It's not enough. No, he is not back. No, don't fall for it. He could strike out 5 times tomorrow against the Twins. Don't fall for it, folks. Congrats. You had a nice game. Do it again, Trev. Do it again, TS10. Joke.
John, your thoughts on Story? Drop to the fifth and sixth holes here, lower in the lineup. You think that's going to help him out?
Yeah, I think it is. We saw it last year. Well, he didn't hit in the 2-hole much last year, but we saw up until May, the guy was hitting, 130. It was atrocious, and then they got to Atlanta last year, and he played great up until the last couple of weeks of the season, but since he's been dropped to the 5-6 hole in the lineup, his batting average has gone from 108 all the way up to 182, and that's just in 7 games. Obviously, not too many at bats this year, but when Trevor Story's bad, he's really bad, and when Trevor Story's good, he's going to be really good. But what I like to look at with him, when he's bad, it's because he's swinging at these inside fastballs, and then he's chasing all of these sliders, sweepers, curveballs, whatever, way outside of the zone. And today he finally looked competent at the plate. Fastball away, took it away for a single to right field. Next at bat, change up away, took it to right field for another single. Later in the game, inside fastball, put it over the shortstop's head for an RBI single. When he's hitting the ball, when he has the approach of just put it wherever it's coming, he's going to put up productive at bats. And that's, you'll also see when that happens, when he, has the open approach to hitting the ball to all fields, he's not going to get that swing and miss at the 50% clip that we've seen up until the last couple games. So do I think that he's immediately going to turn it around now? No, not at all. I doubt that he, for the next 2 weeks, it's 370, but it's nice to see that Trevor Story that played so well last summer is still there and it's not completely gone. But I really hope and I really do think that over the next week or so we're going to see a better version of Trevor Story than what we have to this point.
Well, I think for the Red Sox case, they need to, right? I mean, they can't sustain the type of production that Trevor Story was giving you in the first 8 to 10 games. The problem with Trevor Story is that he has difficulty catching up to inside fastballs, and so he stays deep in the batter's box so that he doesn't get beat up inside. But then when the pitchers are throwing to the outside, sweepers and sliders away, he just he wails at them and he strikes out. And to your point, if he could kind of just adjust that a little bit and not worry about trying to pull the ball all the time and go the other way, between first and second or down the first base line and get himself a single or double. Is he going to hit 25 home runs doing that? No, but I'll take 10 or 15 home runs and a 275 batting average from the guy, 280. So, I'd rather see him get on base a little bit more and stop trying to swing for the fences each and every time and trying to pull that ball. So, remains to be seen how it goes, but what's that next?
You write your memo. Make sure you write your memo to 4 Jersey Street. Attention, Pete Fatso Rizzo.
Exactly. Moving right along. I want to kind of go into the series coming up. So we'll switch gears here. So starting tomorrow, the Red Sox will be on their way to Minnesota. They are now. Probably landed already, but tomorrow's game is Monday, April 13th. That's a 7:40 start in Minnesota. We're looking at Garrett Crochet against Bailey Ober in game 2, which is Tuesday at 7:40 p.m. To be Sonny Gray against Mick Abel. And then in game 3 against Minnesota will be Connolly Early against Simeon Woods Richardson. So based on that, my question, John, I'll start with you. What do you see the Red Sox doing in this series, and what's your predictions?
Yeah, I mean, in the series, I think game 1 tomorrow, Garrett Crochet is going to be Garrett Crochet. He's going to give you that six innings plus. And then who'd you say is pitching tomorrow? It's
Ober, Bailey Ober. He's currently 1-0 with a 5.27.
Yeah, Bailey Ober sucks.
Mm-hmm.
He's not good. We have to see what the Red Sox lineup does tomorrow, but with Garrett Crochet on the mound, I'm never going to expect a loss. So game 1, I'll give it to the Red Sox. Game 2 with Sonny Gray versus Mick Abel. That one I'm going to be paying close attention to. Mick Abel's an interesting prospect. He's
not having a good year though.
Not yet. Well, Dustin May wasn't having a good year either.
That's a good one.
So that game, I'd expect,
By the way, I told you guys they weren't going to win that game.
Oh, shut up!
You did.
I told you.
Shut up.
I said the Red Sox are going to Red Sox.
I need to take over
that game.
admin and things in this. We got to mute him.
Sonny Gray, we saw in the first in spring training and up until his first start of the year. When the weather's cold, he sometimes has a hard time gripping the ball. His fastball doesn't play as well as it typically does. So up in Minnesota, where conditions are going to be cold, I'm kind of nervous about him. And Mick Abel again, kind of a wild card. We don't know what we're going to see out of him. So that game I'm iffy on. And then game 3. Game 3 is, who'd you say? Connolly Early. That's another one.
Yeah, Woods Richardson.
Yep.
0-2 with a 460 right now.
Yeah, That's a guy that he's pitched against the Red Sox, I think, a couple times so far in his career. Red Sox should be able to handle him pretty well. But again, Connolly Early, who now we're at the point where he's the guy that's kind of slacking a little bit. And it's, a lot of what's it's been due to is because he's had a hard time gripping the ball in these cold conditions. So, if it's freezing out there, he's going to have to bear down. But it's against the Twins who, they've been playing well. Their bats have been hot. They're 9-7 on the year. So I expect that the Red Sox to win 2 out of 3, but I wouldn't be shocked if they come out of the series losers of they only get 1 out of 3.
So you're going 1 out of 3.
I'm going to go 2 out of 3, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's 1 out of 3.
Nick, your predictions for the Minnesota series?
Wow, that was like a me prediction right there. Oh, I actually think that they have a chance to sweep. I'm not going to do that. I said I have a chance, or they have a chance. If I were the manager, they'd sweep, but that's beside the point. I'm going to say they're going to take 2. Oh, shut up. That's my phrase tonight. I think 2 out of 3 is a logical step for this series. I think the Crochet start tomorrow we should be good with. I think also coming off a nice series win against the Cardinals, I'm sure they're all amped up and they're feeling like they can do this. So I think they're going to ride that momentum high into the first game. The second game, I think it's going to come down to bullpen. I just think it's going to have to be that way with obviously who the Twins are throwing versus Sonny Gray. I think it's going to come down to Weissert not giving up something, Zach Kelly not giving up something. My desire is to see Crochet go 7+ tomorrow night. That would make my night, because if that happens, that sets you up for a good spot with the Sonny Gray start. And, Sonny Gray's been durable over his career, but if Sonny Gray can give you 6, then I feel a little bit more comfortable with a Whitlock and figuring it out, whatever we're going to do in the 7th inning. I think that's the key right here, guys. We have to figure out who the 6th and 7th inning is. Who do we have trust with? And I don't know if I have really much of anything on that right now. I just don't. I feel okay going to the 8th right now with Whitlock. I don't feel as great as I did maybe last season with it, but I feel okay. And then Chapman, I think I still feel fine with. Conley Early, the game on Wednesday. It's not going to come down to Conley Early. Do you guys know where I'm going with this? It's going to come down to the nerd herd on pulling him after 4 or 5 innings, and then our bullpen having to survive another outing with Gopher Ball McGee, Greg Weissert, and Gopher Ball, we'll call him Maggie, Zach Kelly. That's what it's going to come down to. And I see the Twins getting that game on Wednesday, because we can't have Conley Early, heaven forbid, go more than 5 innings. Bunch of nonsense. I'll go 2 of 3.
I'm going to go 2 of 3 as well, but I could increase it to a sweep if the Red Sox starting pitching gives us a quality start in each one of these games. I honestly believe the Twins are not very good. I mean, I'm looking at their roster right now, and journeyman Josh Bell is basically lighting them up. He's leading the team with a 275 batting average, leading the team with 3 home runs, leading the team with 12 RBIs, leading the team with a 397 on base, and leading the team with 14 hits. So, I mean, basically, if you can neutralize him and probably Buxton, I think you'll be fine. The rest of them don't scare me. I know Matt Wallner has 3 home runs, but he strikes out a ton. He's leading the team in strikeouts with 29. So, he's kind of an all or nothing guy. So I do believe that there is a chance for a sweep if they get 3 quality starts, because I just think you can get Whitlock and Chapman in the 8th and 9th, figure out the 7th. Just as long as Weissert's not part of that equation. Maybe Tyler, Carmen Sandiego comes in. He's looked pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to conservatively say 2 out of 3, but I think there's a chance for 3 if you get a quality start in all 3 games.
You know
Moving
who we
on.
got to watch out for in the series? Red Sox legend Tristan Gray. If you don't remember, acquired via the Tampa Bay Rays and then moved. I think it was to make room for Ranger Suarez, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but he's had at least this past week he's been on fire. But he's hitting 273. He has 11 RBIs, 2 homers, 937 OPS. Not going to call it a revenge game by any means, but you Sonny Gray or anybody out of the bullpen leaves a sweeper in the middle of the strike zone, that ball's going pretty far.
Yeah, I just the Twins don't scare me. They shouldn't scare you as a Red Sox fan. So we'll see how it goes, but you need 2 out of 3 or you need a sweep. You really need to. Just quickly with some comments. See what we got here. Betty says they can't hit good pitching. Frankly, they haven't had a lot of. I mean, they started off with a few good pitchers. In the Astros series and so forth, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
They just can't hit, period, no matter who's going.
Yep. Betty also says she thinks that Chappie will be close to last year. Whitlock will probably be okay if handled well. That's always just it. Whitlock cannot go more than 1 inning. We've seen it in the past as a reliever. We've seen his struggles as a starter, and we've seen in the postseason when he's called upon to do more than 1 inning. I mean, look up his statistics when he goes 1 inning, or if he goes more than 1 inning. If he goes more than 1 inning, it's a completely different guy. Yep. Let's see. Keep him in the 4 hole. I think Mark was talking about the hole for Wilson Contreras. I mean, I don't know. I like to see if someone's really hot, move him up, but I understand John's point too. Don't screw it around. Something that's working. Dave says Twins swept the Tigers and pounded Toronto 2 out of 3. It won't be easy, in my opinion. 2 out of 3 seems realistic. You aren't going to back sweep all this series. It may not be. I mean, again, the Red Sox should be able to do it. You should have a competent team that can do it. This team isn't that competent, so we'll see. Abreu is cooling off, Jules said. I don't know what he batted for this series, but you definitely notice a little bit of a difference there. He had a couple hits, I think, in the second game, but first game. Chapman, Dave says Chapman got the loss. It was a 2-2 tie game in the 9th last Saturday against San Diego, lost 3-2. Okay, so it wasn't a starting pitching issue. Thanks for that, Dave. Weiler does this every year, and I hope 2 injuries don't follow. That's the thing with Abreu. If he can stay healthy for the entire season, I think that's where you got the chance for 25 home runs plus maybe. But that's always been his issue is being healthy. So we'll see how that goes. Logan says he likes Roman hitting 4th. Who's your top 3 though? So what are you doing in that instance, Logan? To put him in the 4 hole. I mean, are you doing Contreras 2nd or 3rd? What are you doing with Yoshida, Story, so forth? We'll see where if you comment on that a little bit more. Betty says best way to take pressure off Roman is not to expect him to lead the team. That's the problem, Betty. They put all this stock in Roman Anthony being Xander Bogaerts, being Dustin Pedroia, being David Ortiz,
being everybody,
being Mookie Betts, being the face of the franchise, and being the spokesperson for that at 21 years of age, and that's not fair to him. Mystic Summer says, I would lower Anthony to about the 6th or 7th in the lineup for the time being. I don't think it's a bad idea, at least maybe to get him going and then, move him back up if he shows that he can get out of it. Jules says Roman can't lead off, can't get a hit. It's been tough giving him all those at-bats and seeing what he's putting out. And the power is really not there either is the other thing. Betty again, Breslow said that because he can't find a bat after giving Raffy away. Yeah, it's just terrible that, again, we've talked about this before. This offseason, you needed to have another right-handed power bat to go with Bregman, and you needed a number 2 starter, and they didn't get either one as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. Moving around. Mick says, I'm over with the Durbin experiment. He's a minor leaguer. He was 3rd in the NL rookie of the year, but it is Milwaukee. There's not a lot of urgency in those teams. I don't know. I've tweeted enough that I'm not too crazy about him.
Remember, he's playing over Romy Gonzalez, who is hurt right now too. So
yeah,
if fans want to get really nasty about it.
But I mean, Durbin at the minimum, he's given the Red Sox phenomenal defense at third base. So the bat is what it is. It's all it's gonna get better than what we've seen so far. And he's same thing. Story got the flashy numbers today with the 4 hits, but go look what Durbin did today. It didn't result in hits, but he put really good swings on the baseball, and I think that a Page offensively is turning with him a little bit.
They need it. So let's hope. Closing out, Betty says last year it took Roman a while before he had the power. It's true. I don't think he had his first home run, at least for this first month, right? And then he had he was hitting
8 in 13 games or something
yeah,
like that.
it was nutty, before he got injured. So we'll see how that goes. But any last thing I want to do before I get to you, Nick, is our star of the game. Number one, we have a little bit of a sweepstakes. You can read more about that on our website as well. The idea here is that every time that we're on the show live, I will have a tweet that has an image similar to this. You just comment below on who you think the star of the game is going to be for that game. Usually try to put it up a few hours to the morning of that game, so there's plenty enough time to chime in with your comment. Today's star of the game was Wilson Contreras. I don't think we had a match there today, but definitely, yeah, definitely deserving of that. So that's how that works. Also, too, before we close off, subscribe to our digital newsletter at redsoxdigest.com. We can get you get a copy of our newsletter. I do the articles every day on the game before with some sarcastic and savage comments in there, which rattles some tails, but definitely go ahead and subscribe to that. And you can also get a premium membership too. And if you do get a founding membership, you can come on the show. That's part of one of the perks, and you can actually be part of the Martinello Minute yourself. That's going to do it for tonight. Just a couple other logistics. This week, as far as shows are concerned, I don't know what the schedule is going to look like. My dad is having a surgical procedure on Wednesday, so I'm going to be kind of out of commission Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know how all that's going to go. So if we do, it'll probably be a last-minute thing. I just got to see how he is stabilized. So if we don't have one, it probably next show might be next Sunday, just because of those reasons. So I don't know how that's going to go. Friday night anyway, we were all going to go to a game at Yankee Stadium. I'm not going because of my dad's surgery, but Thayer, Nick, and John are supposed to go. I just got to get the tickets transferred over to Thayer, so the whole crew's going to buzz the Yankees for the night. So that should be fun. I'm waiting for some pictures for that, and we'll see how that goes. So that's about it. Nick, you had a last minute comment or something? Yep.
I do. Coach Nick is going around MLB, and there's 2 things I want to mention quickly. Number one, tonight was the leadoff game for Sunday Night Baseball on NBC, and Chris Sale was your star of the show, going 6 innings, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 99 darts at 37. Boy, would it have been nice to have a player like that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is,
who do we get for Chris Sale again?
That would be Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah, that worked out well.
Oh, then we paid Chris Sale's salary too.
Exactly. I fell off the bike when that happened. Ha ha ha. The other thing I want to mention, holy sheets.
Daniel.
That was outstanding. I've been watching the Padres. If I'm asleep, I just record it. But over the weekend I was. What an environment that is right now. My goodness, you had Xander Bogaerts with a walk-off grand slam. That was incredible call there, and incredible just overall for the team. And then the next night, Gavin Sheets, and that call was just so iconic from Don. I'm sorry if I keep ad nauseum about it, but I'm sorry, Don Orsillo deserves it. That call was truly sensational on what he did right there and what that team is doing. God, I wish we had that spark from that team.
Nick, I don't know if you saw his tweet where he was it was a segment he did on MLB TV or MLB.com TV. And they were talking to him about his calls and everything like that. It's amazing how Major League Baseball can see the talent that Don Orsillo has, but
the Red Sox can't.
Fenway Sports Group could not.
They're a joke.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Don's an icon. I'm sorry. He's an icon. And I put out a tweet after this. Don Orsillo will be in Cooperstown Hall of Fame. He absolutely will.
Yeah. And you know what I want to happen? I want Dave O'Brien to introduce it.
Yeah, because he ain't going to get in there.
That's all I got for tonight. I'd like to thank John and Nick for being on with us. Again, go to RedSoxDigest.com.
That's your mic drop moment.
Sign up, and we will talk to you. You'll see my tweets during the week. And if not, I'll be, we'll probably be back on next Sunday. We'll see how the week goes with my dad. So have a great night, everybody.